Blessings. Hope you're doing well. Today's read is out of 1 Samuel chapters 24 and 25. I hope you got a chance to read this ahead of time so you kind of know where we're going with the stories as I kind of lay out the law enforcement highlights of these chapters. So let's see what today's takeaway is. When I was reading about David, there's a couple of examples of how David reacts in different situations, and they're all really good lessons for us. But today we only have time to talk about one. I want to talk about David's spiritual maturity and the way he makes tough decisions. And we see this in chapter 24 when David's in the cave. He and his soldiers are running from Saul. Saul's trying to kill him. So when they get close, David and his men find this cave and they hide. And you can imagine how scared they were when Saul's army comes up, and all of a sudden they stop right there at the mouth of the cave and Saul himself comes in. But David's soldiers say, "This is your opportunity, David. Go kill him. He is the enemy. Go take him out and let's end this thing." And even to the point where chapter 24, verse 4, if I can see where I put it, they even tell David, "The men of David said to him, Behold, this is the day which the Lord said to you, Behold, I am about to give your enemy into your hand. You shall do to him as it seems good to you." This is the words David's men spoke to him. And David took those words to heart. And where it says, "You shall do to him as it seems good to you," David did exactly that. You almost expect David to go up and take Saul out, to kill the enemy. Saul's been pursuing him and trying to kill him and all his men. And all his men that are in the cave with him, they're all united in this decision to take Saul out. But David is the one standout. He has a very difficult decision to make, and his conscience is telling him he's not supposed to kill Saul. It doesn't go into any more detail than that. But if we go to Romans chapter 14, there is an incredible passage, a chapter that tells us about spiritual maturity and how we make decisions based on conscience, and how someone who is so spiritually mature like David was, he was a man after God's own heart. David makes decisions at a different level of spiritual maturity and wisdom than someone who doesn't have that same spiritual maturity. So they're not going to understand David's decisions. But David doesn't chastise them and say, "Well, you just don't understand." David just does what he does. He makes the hard decision. He has to take the flak for it because they try and argue and convince him otherwise, but he stands his ground. We have to stand our ground. And if you have any questions about making decisions based on spiritual maturity, wisdom, and how your conscience plays a part in that, I encourage you to read Romans chapter 14. Just a real short chapter, a real good read. So blessings on you. Stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.